Today's topic is Huntington's disease and how I am curing Huntington's disease with the carnivore diet. It's an amazing story about how the body really needs thiamine and what's the best source of thiamine, why a supplement can't work at all for Huntington's disease, and what our genetics have to do with it as well. So let's get started. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you'll know that I have a couple of videos out now about the carnivore diet. I have one about the carnivore diet and one about Huntington's disease and hemolysis. Those are both really vital to understanding what kind of diet you should be eating for Huntington's disease, but I'm going to explain some more about what hemolytic anemia is in a more layman's terms. Hemolytic anemia is a type of anemia where basically your red blood cells kind of break down. And when they break down, it causes a problem with oxygen in the body. And that's something that they've discovered in Huntington's disease research. Therefore, if you eat a diet that's high in iron, then it will help heal the anemia. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why can't you just do like B12 shots or take a B12 supplement or an iron supplement or something like that? Now, some people can choose to go down that path, but it's going to take you much longer than if you just went the natural way. In January, I will be approaching my 5th year anniversary as a carnivore, and I'm very happy with my progress. You know, along the way, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm going to be sharing those mistakes with you so that you can learn from them and hopefully progress faster than I have. Or you can, if you have a more severe form of Huntington's disease, then it's possible that this would benefit you. What I've learned about Huntington's disease is that we have weak Rh negative blood in us because we have a genetic component that has both a positive genetics and negative genetics. The Rh negative gene has a lot to do with how the body reacts to certain foods. Rh negative is known for having high autoimmune disease. Well, what do you do when you have autoimmune disease? You need to heal the gut, because healing the gut needs to come first, because that is where our immune system starts. It starts in our gut. And if the gut is not happy, then neither will the rest of the body be happy. Huntington's disease is very complicated. I'm not gonna lie. It's complicated for doctors, it's complicated for scientists, it's complicated for so many reasons, but what it boils down to is really a vitamin deficiency since birth, or since before birth, since conception. Our mothers all have to eat a certain diet in order for their bodies to be nutritionally sound and healthy. You need adequate nutrition for good health. Our mothers did not have adequate nutrition for whatever reason. If you have Huntington's disease or you have a prion disease, which could be Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, epilepsy, lupus, MS, and so forth. Okay, chronic fatigue syndrome and so forth, fibromyalgia as well. I fully believe that all of this is true, and that the more and more research that comes out, the more it will be more understood what's really happening. But part of the issue is that we have big food and big pharma vying for our dollar. And when they vie for our dollar, well, then that means that we will be inundated with propaganda that eating the standard American diet is the way to eat, to be healthy. But for people with autoimmune disease, they have been discovering through eating the carnivore diet and eating the ketogenic diet as well, that there are certain anti-nutrients that exist within plants that can cause an inflammatory response. Huntington's disease is already an inflammatory disease. If you watched the last video, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It is an inflammatory disease, and the inflammation starts from our red blood cells. Our red blood cells are not getting enough oxygen, and then therefore they start to die off. Well, when they die off in clumps, right? And so that's a large amount of cellular damage at one time. And that cellular damage can be anywhere in our bodies where we aren't making proper enzymes, where our mitochondria is already damaged. So, for example, that's in the spleen. In particular, in Huntington's disease, if you watch the last video, you'll understand more what I'm talking about. But the spleen has a lot to do with our lymph system and whether or not our lymph can be released. If you cannot release your lymph fluid properly, then you end up dying. And that's an issue that really is prevalent in the Huntington's disease community. A lot of us die early because of this issue. What I've come to find out being in the carnivore community, and I really try my best to keep up with research. I may not always do it, so if anybody sees any new research, send it my way. I love reading that stuff. But for me, it's been where I have to look at medical literature. I've been looking at medical literature since I self-diagnosed myself. Don't worry, I had a blood test to confirm. But since then, I really have come a long way in my understanding because of the research that Judy shares on nutrition with Judy. She's available on YouTube. I really recommend everybody go follow her and watch her expert talks. With the experts are really fascinating and have really opened my eyes to a number of nutritional deficiencies that we've had. And this is where I'm saying that I believe the nutritional deficiency has started since birth. There's new research out now that's saying that Huntington's disease is really a thiamine deficiency. That's huge. Thiamine deficiency that's happened since before conception, which means the mothers who conceived the children were not receiving enough vitamin B in their diet because they were autoimmune and didn't know it, or didn't know how to correct the autoimmune problem with their diet and what nutrition has to do with that. But nutrition has so much to do with it because when the mother is deficient, she passes on the deficiency onto her child. Well, how does she get deficient? The plants have anti-nutrients in them, which means those anti-nutrients steal the nutrition from the body. If we consume any type of sugar, and I'm saying any type, because if you go and you look in the research and you go and look at Huntington's disease, you find that the liver is very much affected. Why is the liver so affected? Why? If it doesn't have to do with sugar, which, let's be real, all sugars turn into ethanol in the body. So now if you think about a plant and you're consuming a plant and you're putting that into your digestive system, then you're consuming either sucrose, fructose, or dextrose. All of them are sugars. Sucrose is table sugar. Fructose is from all fruits. Harvard has done some amazing research on the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and what that has to do with fructose. And I concur because I healed myself, my non-alcoholic fatty liver disease with the carnivore diet. And it was confirmed by doctors and blood tests. So then there's also dextrose, which we all think that if you don't eat plants, you'd be crazy. And this society, which is crazy in itself, because all plants have sugar, including the vegetables your mom and dad made you eat. They really weren't good for you. It all comes down to the soil content. What are our vegetables and our fruits grown in? How is the soil content so much different than it used to be hundreds of years ago? Because the first documented, Huntington's disease case was in the 1800s, right? When it was named Huntington's disease. But it say that the first episode probably was during the Puritan times of the Salem witch trials. And so if you go back and you look what their diet was, okay, you'll find out that the Puritans didn't eat very much meat. They had minced meat pie once a week, pretty much. And the rest of the week, they ate fruits and roots and things like that they had available. And so that really altered the diet. Well, why is that so fundamental? And what does it have to do with hemolysis anemia? It causes all kinds of problems. Basically, it's an oxygen issue. You're not getting enough oxygen. And the anemia has to do also with, if you go and you look in the medical research, Rh negatives are mostly anemic. And so it makes sense that the hemolytic disease of the newborn is reflected in Huntington's disease because we have the RHD gene. So when you have the gene, then that's what really makes a difference in how your immune system works. When you have anemia, you could go and get a supplement, but that supplement generally has other ingredients. For example, some of them come in a vegetable-based capsule. That's not good. Some of them come with yeast. That's not good. Some of them actually have sugar as an ingredient. That's not good either. Most of these things are vegetable-based. They're not, or plant-based, they're not animal-based. And that's the issue. Animal-based consumption of animal foods is best for any type of anemia, not only to heal the anemia, because you can only heal that really with iron, but also because you're not consuming any plants with that at the same time, so you're not getting your magnesium stolen. There's a huge process about digestion, where your magnesium is necessary to be present in order for your body to be able to go through the detox process, in order for your body to have good cellular and mitochondrial health. But that process is blocked by the consumption of plants. So that is why my diet is nothing but animal-based. Animal-based consumption has really made a huge difference. I went about 8 months or so where I didn't have any dairy. Maybe longer, because dairy would really I started noticing it was making my stomach feel weird. And I finally figured out what it is, because see, dairy is the main vitamin in dairy are the B vitamins. All of the B vitamins. You can find them in each type of different dairy. Even milk is necessary cheese is necessary. Butter. Oh, butter. Butter has actually improved my eyesight. You know, all of that is really necessary. And you can only get those B vitamins from either pork or from dairy. Well, so I went dairy-free for a long time, but I still had pork. But I've still had movements. Recently, I have taken some time to reintroduce dairy into my diet, and I have gotten so much better with my movements. They're still occurring, but they're occurring less and less frequently. My hand is actually open to today, so, which is really amazing. Usually it's like this. And so I'm really happy about that personally for me, because wow, that alleviates some pain for me, not to deal with that issue all the time. You know, for those who don't know, I have really come a long way because my husband passed in April, and although it has been, you know, I'm grief-stricken, he was the love of my life, I am still able to drive the bus by myself, a 36-foot bus by myself.